Let us discuss about association rules as part of this tutorial. Is a concept which is part of your data mining. And as we have all unsupervised learning, and association rules is part of your unsupervised between these two. When it comes to unsupervised learning, or and within this historical data, if full of interest is unknown, it's called as unsupervised learning. So why unsupervised learning? If the output variable of interest is known, then it is called as supervised learning. Association rules is also given another name, or it has a bunch of other names basically. Association rules is also called this association rules is also called as relationship mining. And this is also called as the different names. Think about this. When you go to a retail store, you might have a cash counter and the cashier is going to bill the different products that you have chosen. This single bill is called as one transaction. Purchase is equal to one transaction, right? Bunch of all the products purchased together would be classified as kit along with a lot of products within that. It is called as market basket analysis. And it's called as relation to understand what two products are going together. Are you purchasing milk and bread together? That's association rules all about. But these are the obvious examples that I've given. Toothpaste and toothbrush together. But when it comes to relationship mining, you're expected to come up with some interesting insights on the so it can be applied to different applications. It need not be, or association rules need not be commerce stores. It can be expanded to various industry sectors and domains. And one more rules that you come up with, for example, toothpaste and toothbrush purchasing together, if you come to know about that kind of a rule applicable to all the customers. And this is very different from your recommender system. Product on, say, Amazon, you'd get a pop-up underneath which says people who have searched for the products. That's very personalized. So the products that are recommended to you would be different in comparison, right? This is very personalized. However, association rules is generic. We cannot come up with one rule purpose. Why, uh, bundling price or promotional price for bread and toothpaste? It doesn't happen. The offers that you get, the discounts that you get, the combo offers that you see are generic for all applicable for online, yeah, e-commerce stores, so on and so forth. This, say, log into Netflix to watch movies. The moment you search for a movie, there'll be a bunch of you might also want to watch these movies. And the movies that Netflix is going to show me would be different recommendation. That's personalized based on your browsing behavior, based on your previous movie watching pattern. That is affinity is closeness, togetherness. Which two products are very closely getting sold together, right? That is the analysis. All right. Why did this market basket analysis or affinity analysis become so famous of late? Point of sale systems. You just need to scan the barcode. Everything is digitized and the information is, or rather data is getting stored to a very huge extent. A lot of data is getting collected. And association rules or market basket analysis is finding its roots deep. As I train on the fly, I got a thought because a movie online, they have asked me to show this QR code. They scan it the moment I need not go purchase a ticket or show the SMS and then get tickets going. That process, that cumbersome process is done away with. I just open my mobile, they have scanned the code, and that's it. So a lot of data is getting generated in this way. We watching pattern just because it's getting recorded in this way. And maybe you also come to know when do I enter the movie hall? Is it 1 hour before or maybe 5 minutes before? If I enter, then maybe within the movie hall, they can send me discount coupons pertaining to popcorn or just, loitering around. I might go and purchase one, maybe. I'm just thinking out, and this is not a pre planned, maybe. All right. So we have a lot of barcode scanners. So we record large trans. You need to do some kind of mining. You need to draw some kind of interesting insights out of that data, right? And what is it? All the items which are purchased on a single purchase transaction. In a single transaction, you might record. Yeah. And here we go with association. What item goes with what? What two items are purchased together? Are certain even about this? And mind you, if you're trying to apply association rules for retail stores, the association rules that get generated in one store might be different to another store. Even if two stores are, say, I have two stores in Hyderabad, in India. These two stores are, say, 40 kilometers away from each other. Population pertaining to IT people, information technology. These people draw some good salaries, so they live. Say there is another store wherein the kind of people who stay here are from slightly lower middle class. Products which get sold here would obviously be different to the products which are sold here. And I'm speaking about one city, different countries. Obviously, the analysis that you're going to perform would vary drastically pertaining to your retail stores. It could be for anything. It could be for your e-commerce store. It could be your movie watch. What business strategies will you devise with the knowledge at hand? There are a lot of things. If you come, probably you can devise your store layout on what products or what product another rack, what products would get into this second rack, right? And you might target lower racks, lower portion of the racks because children are not so tall that they can, easily view the bottom of the rack, so that children might view the toys and they might force parents to, actually purchase one. Promotional offers, right? You want to, if you feel that, hey, toothpaste and toothbrush are being purchased together, you want to provide some kind of promotional offer here in such a way that it generates more profits. You cannot say that I'm going to reduce. If you provide a discount of 10%, profits will not increase. Your sales would increase. Paste and toothbrush, if you purchase these two separately, maybe it's $1. Maybe say on $2, you get a profit of 50 cents. Assume. In discount, you'll be selling it for maybe $1.8. Since probably for $1.8, you might get, say, 40 cents as profit. So though the sales might increase, your strategy should be such that you reduce the price of toothpaste by, say, 10%, brush by 10%, so that your profits are evened out. Or even better strategy would be, alongside sales, your profits also increase. This is a kind of strategy, like any of the layperson says. Combine these to provide a 10% discount, sales would increase. Wow, congrats. But we need to look into from that perspective also. And that's called as your bundling discounts. You can also think about stocking, right? Supply chain, inventory, depending on what two products are getting sold together, what products are getting sold together. And in the next slide, I'm going to speak about a few more strategies. Do you know how retail stores make money? Retail stores do not just make profits based on the mode of generating profits. They also sell prominent shelves. And the moment you entered the store, the first rack had, say, thumbs up, but a product might be, say, Pepsi. So you'll purchase Pepsi, and you might not purchase that because you have already purchased this. So if I can position my products in the first, chances are higher that people might purchase your products more than the other competitor products. In that in a retail store, then you need to pay additional premium to the retail stores, and that is called as a slotting fee. Slot. And you can look into all these things: product shelf placement, stocking, price bundling, so on and so forth, together and sell it. Of course, there are a lot of strategies that drive this, not just your association rules, which we will look into mathematically and try to. R is a statistical package, right? So we'll look into how to generate the association rules using R. However, you look at those, right, or business constraints drive the decisions. For example, maybe not many people are purchasing this product, it's lying in your inventory, it's a fast moving product, and then sell it together, maybe, right? So here also the will not actually take this company into losses. They will look into what is the inventory cost, and if the inventory maintenance is costly, then they sell out using these kind of discounts, and they will ensure than the inventory cost. So don't think that these are the prices which are random. So let me show you that article. That's an interesting article here on economics, basically. I'll let it come up. Buying up the share, taking a screenshot from here, and also I've provided that source URL there. I expected this. So there we go. So look, please slow, I believe. There are two main forms of payments that retail stores receive from the product manufacturing firms. It's on the retailer's shelf, or any space that you want, basically, which is going to drive. That is the marketing or distribution fees. That is, if the retail store is going to promote your product sales, then you're expected to provide them some kind of a royalty or marketing or distribution fees. I have not placed this image just for fun there. This person, with an adult diaper. This is not. People have started performing association rules way back in 1992 itself. Thomas, who was a manager of a retail consulting group at Teradata, he, along with his staff, analyzed from about 25 Osco drug stores. And they found an interesting insight, and that was consumers who bought beer have also bought diapers. That's an interesting thing. These two beside each other might not be a good thing to do, maybe because of some kind of insights which your retail stores or your e-commerce stores or any of the stores would actually be interested in bundling. And another thing, as I've told you, your association rules need not be restricted to your retail stores or e-commerce stores. Basically, you can also, there are a lot of applications which are built which are going to serve as a supplement for the doctors, right? Because do you know what, in India probably it's not a norm, but if a patient penalty on the hospital because maybe for the first time you were not diagnosed properly, yeah, is there, not all states but a few states, if a person gets re-hospitalized, then you would be, you have a symptom, you go to a doctor, you are an ignorant patient, and also maybe you have feet pain, but you feel that hey, and you might not tell the doctor that you have pain in leg, you might only tell that you have back pain. There are specific patient has back pain, and immediately that would pop up on what are the possible questions which the doctor has to ask, you know properly. I'm not telling that these tools are replacement to doctors, never ever. Tools are just supplements for better diagnosis. If you come to know that disease, probably you can take some preventive action also, right? And from pharmaceutical perspective, pharmacy, probably doctor prescribes medicine A, medicine B, and C, and or doctors prescribe these three medicines together for probably the common flu. If you get to know that extent, then maybe you're going to stock them appropriately. Because if you appropriate amount of probably drug C, the patient might most likely say that hey, that's okay, I'm going to purchase these two from a different store. All the possibilities, right, on how you can expand the, also when it comes to your service desk or when it comes to industry. Basically, when I say support, say you have an issue with your internet, you call the call center, they're going to log a ticket, right? And they probably try to, they feel that they have diagnosed the problem. It was because of SLA. There will be SLA saying that these kind of incidents should be resolved within say 3 hours. So because of this incident, if that issue reappears for you, you'd call the call center again, give the reference of that ticket and say that hey, this is, right? So there is a cost associated with reopening an incident. First thing is your customer satisfaction, and if this issue continues, then there might be a bad brand image. The analyst who has tried to solve this, he takes a hit. Manager of the team takes a hit. Of course, yep. These are all the possibilities. So here we are going to discuss about a very interesting. Um, so say there is a store which is selling accessories for cellular phones, and it's trying to run a promotion on faceplate towards the back of the phone. You might probably purchase one of these colors and try to use it so that your mobile does not get damaged. Plates from a choice of 6 different colors and get a discount. How would you help store managers devise strategy? And we need to solve this. We would get back to this question with some interesting insights. Let us look at this deeper, wherein you have only 10 transactions. So customer 1 has purchased red, white, and green color. Customer 2 has purchased white and orange faceplates together. That's your second transaction. White and blue, third customer purchasing. Fourth, in that way you have the products purchased by the 10 customers. This is called as a list format. You can also convert this to a binary matrix format, and this is how it would appear. Of your statistical packages which would help you run association rules, or you might want to run this. So look at this. How did you convert? If you look at all the colors which are available, there are 6 colors: red, white, blue, orange, green, and yellow. in the white and green. So you'll have a 1 if a person has purchased, and you'll have a 0 if a person has not purchased, right? You have red, white, and green. So you have a 1 associated with those, and you have a 0 in other places. Here you have yellow, and you haven't purchased anything else. So for the rest of the color face plates, you put a 0 and you put a. And association rules are probabilistic if then statements. We're going to explore that, and we are going to look at those examples in the subsequent slides. We need to have some historical data about the purchase history of the various customers. Okay. There are two main ideas here. Examine all the possible if then rule formats and select only those rules which indicate purchasing red and white would trigger purchasing green. That is association. That is association for you. If you purchase white, you also tend to purchase orange. That is association for you. But a lot of association which indicate true dependence. This is going to be a challenge, and we will try to crack this. We are taking only the first transaction as an example and proceeding further with our analysis. And red, white, and green, I've taken those three. How do you generate rules now? Okay. In white, if white and green, then red. If red, then white and green. If white, then red and green. Rules are available here. All the possible rules are there here. You have 6 rules which you have generated. What if I have 10 products? How many rules can be generated exponentially? The number of rules would very soon grow beyond control. If you have too many, people might be having hundreds of products. So the number of rules that would get generated would be beyond your imagination. That's a problem. And as and how the number of products increase, the number of rules would exponentially increase. Now, how to select the rules which are true or good, which will actually give you some kind of a. I would always stick to that word called increasing profits, because increasing sales is a dicey term. That's not a good strategy at all, according to me. So a few other people might, think about selling huge up to their discretion. Anyways, so those are the two different strategies to be devised. Okay. Now, even before we generate it, let us understand the terminologies. In that rule wherein you had red, white, and green, if you are speaking about this first rule, if red and white, then green, part would be called as antecedent, then part would be called as consequent. From here on, we'll be referring to antecedent as A and consequent as C. So in this purchase, then green faceplate is purchased, red and white is antecedent, and green is your consequent. That we will be discussing about to solve the problem of huge number of rules that would get generated, antecedent, then consequent. So we have support, confidence, and lift. We are going to subsequent slides. First one is support. What is support? It is support and confidence as a number or as a percentage. Either way it works. Based on frequency. How frequently people are purchasing products. That is your support all about. And we are going to set minimum support. For example, if you put a support as say 2, you would say that only and only if the products, if and only if the products are being purchased by at least 2 customers, consider those to generate. So if red, white, and green is only purchased once, and if you put a support condition as 2, because you're putting the support as 2. That means at least two customers have to purchase these 3 products together. What you mean by setting a support criterion as 2 or 3 or 4 or whatever be a number. Here is a math behind it. So the percentage or the number of transactions in which so how many times antecedent and consequent are purchased together, number of transactions in which antecedent and consequent appear together, divided by total number. Is a small math in calculating this. The same transaction data of phone plates being purchased is provided here. Yeah. What is the support for if white then blue? Support is extremely simple. Number of transactions in which antecedent and consequent, total number of transactions. Yep. Right. What is this purchase together in total transactions? So here the if part is called as antecedent. So how many times do you see white and blue together? White, blue. See it 4 times in total. Out of what are the total number of transactions? So if I were to represent this in percentage terms, I'll multiply this by 100, and that would be 40%. Now, just try to, solve for this, wherein we have the if part is called as antecedent and the then part is called as consequent. Extremely simple. Number of transactions in which antecedent and consequent appear out of. So here blue and white, once, twice. Find blue and white together out of total number of transactions which are 10. Order in which you purchase the products really does not matter. And if you're especially trying to come up with some kind of bundling pricing, probably want to bundle these two and provide some kind of a discount. So it doesn't really matter whether you bundle white with blue or blue with white. In those where order doesn't really matter, support can be used readily, right? And this is how you calculate. Someone is purchasing a product frequently doesn't make that specific rule very important. Extremely important when it comes to bringing down the number of rules which get generated. To generate some kind of rule, how would you actually do that? That's going to be cumbersome, right? So, and what kind of insights would you give based on support to the store manager? Or if a bunch of products are getting sold to a great extent, then there are 2 things. One, either do a bundling, provide, increase your profits, or try to come up with some strategy to increase your profits if that's your objective. If your objective is together and let it go. One strategy. Second strategy is you anyways know for a fact that majority of the, so do not include white and blue or include only one of these products promotions. Remove that because anyways people would purchase that. For example, if I move blue and you say that hey, there is no discount on this, so what would happen? The products which are not getting other than blue, so your inventory would get empty maybe if that's your strategy, or by paying the entire amount. All these are the strategies that are possible. Basically generating all these possible rules is exponential then in the number of distinct items. That means as increase significantly. And here is a solution to that in terms of a priori algorithm. Okay, the rules which might get generated through this basically. Okay, so first, or criterion rather, probably you'll say that there has to be minimum 20% transactions. At least in 20 transactions, if the products are getting purchased together, you would consider only those to generate rules. First, generate one item sets that meet your support criterion. That is, what do you mean by white and green? If red, then white is a one item set rule. If red, then green. So those are all one item set rules. You might want to use those one item sets and try to use those to generate two item sets. Then also you stick to the support criterion of 20%. Using those two item set rules, once again, when you generate that, you put this minimum criterion, 20%. In these three item set rules, at least, and you continue until you complete all the k item sets. Okay. So let us understand here. Say you're putting a condition as 2. That means sold at least in 2 transactions. Consider those. For example, look at this. Yellow. Yellow is getting purchased. It's getting purchased only once. And that is less than the minimum support criterion that you have set. Item set rules here. Red is being sold 5 times if you count here. Purchased 5 times. And that is greater than 2. So those rules would get generated. White is getting purchased 1, 2, 3. So you have listed down this rule also. Blue is getting purchased once, twice, thrice, 4 and 5 times. So it's greater than 2. So, and then you have orange, green. All these are meeting the minimum support criterion of 2 or greater than red, then white. If red, then white. So what you hear, what you tend to do is now, and you only use these to generate the subsequent rules. So you first choose red, white once, twice, thrice, and 4 times. So it's meeting your minimum support criterion of 2. Blue, red and blue once, twice, and thrice. So it's once again meeting your minimum support. See, do we have red and orange being purchased together? No, 0 times. So it's not. Now let us look at red and green. When it comes to red and green, 1 transaction, minimum support criterion of at least 2. So that rule is there. Now you go with the second one, white. And 1 transaction, 2, 3, 4 transactions. That's meeting your minimum support criterion of 2. White and orange, white, then white and green. Yes, it's meeting. Then you look into blue and orange. Then you choose the third entry. Never. So that rule would not get generated. So there are no rules absolutely with blue and orange. Blue and green. So there's only 1 transaction. So that's not meeting your support criterion. So you'll not generate that. In that way, if you proceed from the support count would only decrease. In this way, you're trying to grow beyond your control. And this is your a priori algorithm. These are the bunch of rules that are possible. But how good are these rules beyond the point that they're their maximum times? Is that the only thing that is going to drive your decision on, actually coming up with? The idea here is to have a few other measures which might be times 2 different products are purchased together. And this is where we get into the second rule. Confidence is the probability of purchasing consequent given the sequence in which you're purchasing products matter, especially when you're using e-commerce store. You first add to cart gets recorded. The product that you add to the cart next would get recorded. So the sequence in the products would get recorded based on the sequence in which you're adding the products to the cart. It is a percentage. You can either represent it in number term or percentage term. Percentage of if also have the then or consequent item set, right? How do you write that? Probability of you purchasing the consequent item set, given that purchased toothbrush. What is the probability that now you're going to purchase a soap? That's confidence all about. So how do you further mathematically calculate it? Number of transactions in which number of transactions with antecedent. This will tell you the probable purchased antecedent. So here we go. We have a problem at hand. We need if white then blue. Here the if point. Formula is simple, either in percentage terms or in the number terms, right? Probability of antecedent and consequent being purchased together divided by probability of formula for probability, number of events that you're interested in. So let me write it for you all. Interested events divided by so here the number of events that we are interested, which is white and blue. How many times do we have this white and blue? White, blue once, twice, thrice by total number of transactions. Total number of events are 10. So it's 4 by 10 divided by probability of purchasing antecedent 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 is the number of interested events, and if you solve this, you would get 4 by 8. Or you can simply link into numbers together divided by total number of transactions and antecedent is purchased. And you have white, which is antecedent, will count in which A and C are purchased together. White, blue, 1 transaction, 2 transactions, 3 number of transactions in which antecedent is purchased. That is total number of transactions in which white is purchased in 8 transactions. There we go. Now, what is the confidence if I just flip the order? And as I've told you, what is the confidence for if blue, then white? Yes, and the consequent is white. If you want to solve this, there are 2 ways of solving. One is just together, given that you have already purchased antecedent. The number of interested events by total number of events. The number of interested events would be number of transactions. In how many transactions do you have blue and white purchased together? 1. 4 out of total 10 transactions. So it's 4 by 10 divided by total number of transactions in which blue is purchased. That's your antecedent. So blue is purchased in 1 out of total 10 transactions. And you get 4 by 5. Or you can simply look at number of transactions divided by total number of transactions in which you have antecedent. Blue and white, you have blue and white in total, 4 blue in 5 transactions. So it's 4 by 5. Either way you get the answer. For any metric, any measure, there would be a flip side. And here when it comes to confidence, order really matters. Why? Say stacks or in different racks basically, or in different slots. If you or people who purchase white also purchase blue, then as in how a customer, and in the second rack I might have blue. And this is possible placement only, and you have a lot of success stories in India such as Big Basket, etc., for your groceries. On what is the order in which you see the products. It should not be placed randomly. If you really are interested in increase, then you need to think on how you need to position those specific products. If we are going to have high support, then you tend to get high confidence. Say majority of the people are purchasing plantain, or but think about this. Irrespective of what products you purchase, tend to purchase plantain, or irrespective of what products you purchase, say, given this condition that irrespective of what products you purchase, you would anyways purchase plantain, or you would anyways, right? You will have a high support always for banana because all the households will anyways purchase this. In majority of the transactions, you will find a reference to milk. But that is not an interesting rule for us. If you look into the formula, it is probability of purchasing consequent, given that you have purchased plantain is antecedent or your milk is antecedent. Or think about these two as your consequent. It is going to bias your result because anyways you're purchasing this. You purchasing this product, right? Say you're trying to look at the relationship on what products are getting sold together, and you see that in a particular, and then you have banana, right? And if you want to look at, and then you want to know the confidence for this. So you look at probability of you purchasing, probability of purchasing banana, given that you have already purchased bread. Guarantee that the value that you get is a true value because anyways you would have purchased banana or some other pulse or oil packet, irrespective of whatever you have purchased, you are prone to purchase banana. So this end richness associated with your confidence. So how do you solve this? Confidence will speak about association between consequent and antecedent, right? Probability of you purchasing banana, given that you have purchased bread. So your confidence will give you what? Dependency between these two products. Products being purchased are two independent events. If I can come up with another measure on whether banana and bread are dependent or independent, that would solve my problem. For this, and within lift ratio, this particular right, that two events are independent. Antecedent for lift ratio is as follows. It is confidence divided by benchmark confidence, and a measure for dependency. Probability of you purchasing consequent, given that you give you a value, assuming that there is dependence. Is going to give you a value assuming that there is independence between antecedent and consequent being purchased. If you want to calculate the probability of A and B, or antecedent and consequent, you just simply multiply those two multiplied by probability of consequent, right? Think about this, how to solve this. Trying to find out probability of some customer purchasing consequent, given that formula, this is how we are going to expand. And when it came to our confidence, we restricted ourselves to this formula here. We have not assumed that there is dependency. However, if these two events, A and B, probability of consequent multiplied by probability of antecedent, and you divide by probability of antecedent gets cancelled out, you're left with probability of consequent. So if two events are independent, consequent given antecedent, is equal to probability of consequent. Look into this particular, and if you were to expand this, it'll be number of transactions with consequent item sets. That will give you the probability of C, consequent. Why are we calculating this in the first place? We are calculating lift ratio because confidence probability of consequent, given that you have purchased antecedent, is assuming here that dependent on each other. But when you have products such as plantain or milk, you know for a fact that these are not per product you purchase, you tend to purchase plantain or milk. Hence, your confidence. So, what is a better measure? Lift ratio. So, what is it going to assume? It is going to assume the lift ratio. It's confidence upon benchmark confidence. Confidence will have a formula wherein you're going to look at the of consequent given antecedent is probability of consequent and antecedent purchased together divided by probability of antecedent. So banana or milk kind of products, it will be biased. Hence, we need some other measure which will also consider that is benchmark confidence. And how is it calculated? Same, probability of consequent given antecedent, that is equal. But since you're assuming that antecedent and consequent are independent events, you then multiplied by probability of consequent. And if you solve it, probability of these two get cancelled and you're finally left with probability of consequent, which is equivalent to number of transactions with transactions in the database. But think about what this lift ratio is trying to capture. Antecedent and consequent are dependent. Compared to what extent, confidence will tell you to what extent two products are dependent on each other, to what extent two products are independent to each other. Now think about this, and what if the lift ratio is less than 1? What would be your inference? 2 is going to be less than 1. That indicates that your denominator is going to have more independent than dependent. The two products which are purchased are more independent of each other in these two. That means the association between bread and banana is less than 1. Does not make sense. What about greater than 1? If the lift ratio is greater than 1, what does that mean? There is more dependency on two products being purchased together. That means there is more association. Stock them together, you can look at the bundling, promotional activity, so on and so forth. Yeah, so those greater than 1. So greater than 1 indicates a rule that is useful in finding consequent item sets. You purchasing consequent item sets, given that you've purchased antecedent, right? Those rules are, and this rule is much better than randomly selecting some transaction of your choice. Now, let us solve this and try to calculate the lift. What is the formula? It is confidence probability of consequent given antecedent, which is nothing but probability of consequent and of antecedent, right? And you divide this with benchmark confidence, consequent given antecedent. But when you expand this formula, probability of consequent and in benchmark confidence, we assume that consequent and antecedent are independent of each other. You expect of antecedent divided by probability of antecedent. So these two get cancelled. You're left with probability of consequent. Same thing here. So this confidence formula remains the same. Probability of consequent and antecedent. And you divide it with benchmark confidence, which is nothing but probability of confidence. Right? That is what we are going to solve now. So probability of by probability of antecedent. That's your confidence divided by benchmark. White then blue. White, if part is antecedent, blue part is consequent. So look at probability value B, probability of consequent and antecedent is equal to number of you have antecedent and consequent, number of interested events by total number of events. That's your probability. Right? Let me write the number of interested events. Yeah, given this context, what will probability of consequent and antecedent be? Number of interested white and blue is being purchased once, twice, thrice, and 4 times. So it's 4 divided. So this is going to be 4 by 10. So let me write it down here. So probability of consequent and antecedent is 4 by 10. Probability of antecedent. Let me write it here. Probability of antecedent. Once again, it is number of interested events. You are interested in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 divided by total number of events. 10. So it will be 8 divided by 10. And that's this. Choose a different color. Oh, okay. Let me write it quickly. Probability of, it is confidence by antecedent divided by probability of antecedent divided by benchmark confidence, which is probability of C. And we 10, and you divide this entire portion with benchmark confidence. Now, how do you calculate probability of consequent? Once again, the same probability value. Blue is consequent. So number of transactions in which you have blue color, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 transactions, 5 by 10. And so if you just try to solve this, right, 10 gets cancelled, so it'll be 4 by 8. Once again, if you try to solve this, this will be 1 by 2. So it'll be 8 by 8, and you'll get a lift ratio of 2 divided by 5 by 10 is 1 by 2. 1 by 2 by 1 by 2 will be 1. So the lift value for if white then blue would. In the next slide, we are going to discuss about the rules selection process. So it's very simple rules that meet specified support and confidence. So whenever you generate rules or whenever you run this particular algorithm, you need to upfront mention your support, the minimum support criterion that you confidence. And using these two, the rules get filtered out. Support and confidence value, absolutely no. It is all subjective and it depends on your domain knowledge. It is all experimental, right? Probably you'll provide support of to generate a few rules, then see whether the rules are meaningful or not. If they are not meaningful, probably you'll try to and see at what point the rules are actually making sense. And in a certain scenarios, implement those rules in the real world, see whether they are being successful or not, and based on that, take a call. And yet, if lift equal to 1, then that's maybe you want to consider that, or you know what kind of business scenario you're trying to solve. Sometimes you might consider, sometimes you might not want to consider. But nevertheless, your R also would give a similar kind of an output here for you all. So here we are mentioned 70%. Based on these two conditions, the different rules are getting generated. And the fact that if the lift ratio is going to be greater than 1, that rule is useful for us. So you need confidence, lift ratio, and then try to make sense. Here you have antecedent, consequent, you have the support of antecedent, and all these things. You will be in a position to, come up with confidence. So the formula for confidence is simple, right? Divided by probability of antecedent. This can also be written as number of transactions in which consequent and antecedent are purchased together. And number of transactions is nothing but support. So this will be equivalent to support A and C divided by support of A. For this particular 2, so this will be equivalent to 2 divided by what is support of A? It is 2. So 2 by 2 is 1, which is 100%. That is how it is calculated when it comes to tools, right? Your tools would automatically calculate, so you don't worry too much. All right, one is that random data, if you choose data randomly, and if the quality of the data is not good, right? So you will always have to assess the quality of the data and then take a call. Sometimes junk data that would generate interesting association rules. But are those true rules? That and more the rules, greater is that danger, right? So you should not have too many rules because you'll get rules based on large number of records are less subject to this danger. That means if you have a sample size to some extent, so always it's better to have more data when you analyze the association rules. And there is a problem with lift ratio, which is profusion of rules. Think about this. This is a data set, children book being purchased, and you have a binary matrix representation here. In both of these rules, you have art books, child book, and geography books. Even in rule 7, you have child, geography, and art books. Child, geography, and art books. Both have different lift ratios, by the way. And this particular rule 2, if you're devising a strategy of bundling the products together, then the sequence really doesn't matter. Combine these two into a single rule. You might want to delete one of these rules. And that's a problem with lift ratio, which is called as profusion of rules. Automatic way of dealing with this kind of a scenario. You need to manually look at these and get. I want to speak about two more different scenarios wherein your application of association rules discussed about associating products within stores. Yeah, that is exactly what we have done. And whenever you want to solve anything, you need to first come up with a tuple, such as bread, milk, etc., along with the store location. A specific set of products with a store. That means those products are getting sold more in a store. So what can we do? If there is any central repository inventory from where, right, then based on this association, you might want to stock more of the products. A different set of products are getting sold in store B, so you'll send more of those products to store B. This is an amazing, and there is no end to this, no limit to this, right? Think about you capturing the crime data and you mention all these details such as locations basically, plus what are the crimes that are happening on a single day or a week, or done some association rules here, and you have come up with these interesting insights that in a specific location crimes are happening together. Someone who is high on narcotics, probably he is resorting to robbery and maybe he's assaulting people, right? And here, someone who is also high on narcotics, but the people who are high on narcotics are resorting to public peace violation. Okay, so what could be the business scenarios? Who do you think? There are many things if you know about this association. Maybe the real estate prices in this location might fall, or maybe a person who is high on narcotics in this, and maybe a person caught for the same crime might not be sent to warning, some kind of um, brainwashing, and then probably they are left alone. Think about Narcos, you know, Pablo Escobar. This is a very good series, and he was one of the biggest drug mafia. And Breaking Bad, a professor who resorts to, get his cancer, all that. These are the bunch of possibilities when it comes to your application. And now we are going to discuss about how to solve the same in R.